morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope y'all are doing well this morning. If y'all can hear me in the chat and we're good to go, someone let me know. Um, my voice is doing a little better. Um, I'm still feeling under the weather, but I'm not like totally down. Not totally down with the sickness, but good enough. I hope y'all are doing well. Y'all get the sanitizer and all the things, get your vitamins, your juice, whatever it takes. Stay away from people, which I thought I was doing a pretty good job of that, but apparently those little tiny ventures I make out the door were a little much. The cold came calling, and so did the actual cold. Anyway, y'all, I can't complain because I'm in Florida. So if y'all are anywhere in the Northeast, well, I hear it's all the way down to the South this weekend as well. But I'm more concerned about everybody in the Northeast. Y'all be safe, stay weather aware. Like, I'm in hurricane country. I'm sure those of you in blizzard country are, know what to do. Stay safe. Go get the bread and the water, all the things, the essentials. Any of you that are in the path of this impending epic storm, apparently, that's coming, y'all do what you got to do to take care of yourselves. Yeah, getting ready for a major storm, Tracy. I caught some stuff this morning and it was like, yeah, it might be the worst in history. I was like, holy cow. We had that 3-day snowstorm last year, thought I was not going to survive. And probably about 10 years before that, we had that, what they called an ice storm. And yeah, people's doors were freezing on their cars and stuff like that. It was crazy. Here we didn't get snow, we just got ice everywhere. Those are like two crazy weather things that never happened here that happened. Like, I'm not, so y'all stay safe, 'cause that little bit that we had to deal with was just too much for me. So I don't want to be in y'all's shoes. No more than y'all want to be in my shoes during hurricane season. See, every region has its thing, right? That's what I say when people say, how can you live in hurricane country? I'm like, well, how can you live in blizzard country or tornado alley? It's what it is. Stay safe. 15 inches of snow coming your way, Tricia. Don't get snowed in. Like, I paid attention, right, all those years of watching these blizzards on TV, and we had like a little mini shovel out at the pole barn because we're country people. I'm like, something's telling me, I guess it was my ancestors, girl, go get that shovel. Good thing I went and got that little shovel because we couldn't open the front door, and I had to kind of like shovel the door out. So don't get snowed into the house. That's the whole point right there, right? I don't envy those people who have to, you see them out there shoveling the driveways just to get the car out. I'm like, I wouldn't even be trying to go nowhere. I'd be like, I'm sick today. I can't come to work. What do y'all, you know, nobody else can get there either. So it didn't just, yeah, y'all be careful and stay safe. All right, we got a lot to get to. Um, let me, we're going to start out by saying farewell to one Judge Gull, and we might be getting another one. Ooh, 2.0. I don't know. Don't know her like that. So, for those of you who don't know, Judge Fran Gull was the presiding judge over the Richard Allen trial, the Delphi murders. Little Miss, what are you doing? We didn't never know. So, anyway, she is set to retire. She is retiring. She's made it official. But her daughter wants her job. So, a lot of people were worried that if Rick Allen, was granted an appeal, would it go back before Judge Gull if he got a retrial? I was like, man, that'd be super crazy. That shouldn't even be allowed, right? If that was a thing like that, why would you do that? But anyway, she's retiring, so no chance of that happening. But she was also a special judge who was appointed to preside over that case. So I don't know, if it would have been bounced back to a regular judge. But anyway, let me pull up an article on that we have. And this is a couple of case updates we're just going to go through this morning. Oh, I may not. Hang on, I got to go grab it. Hi, Dr. Vonda. Welcome in. Guys, I got the banner already going because we're going to get into some discussions here in a little bit. And we're going to do it like we always do. Try to do it with grace. But I know there's been a lot being hashed out on the internet over these Idaho 4 crime scene photos, but I, I'm not the Idaho, I'm not the YouTube police. I'll tell y'all to stay safe out there on them streets. Don't venture off into dangerous places. Do you? We're going to do it our way. And I really don't have a lot to say about what they're saying out there because, like, it doesn't matter what I say, right? We're going to have our discussion here. Okay, let me pull this article up. And her daughter's name is Christina, and she's been a judge. If I can find the right one, let's see. It's going to be because I didn't actually save the one I was reading before. It's got to be. Because I want to bring up the one that talks about the daughter in it. Okay. Here we go. Well, let's see. Oh, I don't want to pull up a news report from Facebook because they come up freaky on your page. Okay, I think it's in this one. That lady. Okay, let's get the screen up. Y'all, I'm a little slow go. I'm still on medication, cold medication. And I was up late last night. I couldn't. Well, I thought about going live, but then I thought, well, I'm really hungry, so I ate, and then I got tired, and then I just couldn't go to sleep because I kept thinking about something or some things that we're going to get into later. Okay. Allen Superior Court Judge Fran Gull, a fixture of the local legal system, announced Monday she will not seek re-election. Gull began serving as a judge in the criminal division nearly 30 years ago after Philip R. Timmy, whatever his last name was, retired at the end of his term in 1996. She ran for the vacancy against 5 other candidates, then ran in the next 4 elections unopposed. So that's on Indiana, right? Pushback, make change. If they're voted in and y'all don't like them, go vote against them. She will retire at the end of her term, December 31st, 2026. So she got another full year left to sit over these cases. The judge said she trusts voters will make the right choice for her replacement. Oh, even she has trust in the voters, adding that she wants them to have the option of choosing her replacement. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? If they would just choose wisely. An Indiana judge just got shot through his front door the other day in Lafayette. We don't know why. The guy rang the doorbell and says, "I have your dog," and then shot through the door. Crazy. I chose not to run for re-election because I would not complete another 6-year term and did not wish to suggest to the voters that I would complete that term. Well, that makes sense. If you don't plan to be there 6 full more years, why go through all the trouble, right? Gull's efforts in jury reform led to the creation of the Indiana jury rules in 2002. I guess her rule was don't let the jury see everything. Oh, sorry, I will add side commentary as needed, which were adopted by the Indiana Supreme Court the next year. That work also led to her being recognized nationally by the National Center for State Courts, which awarded her the 2015 G. Munsterman Award for Jury Innovation. The judge has played a pivotal role in the creation of the first joint Veterans Treatment Court program in Allen County in 2013, which seeks to meet the needs of veterans that are not met in the traditional criminal justice system. Gull also presides over the Allen Superior Court Drug Court Program. She, busy lady, got her hands full. No wonder she couldn't read the Frank's memo or set a hearing for it. I'm especially proud of the professionals serving the drug court population, recognizing the need for second chances, rehabilitation, and redemption. That is a nice thought if they would actually just participate in that, the people who are actually in the program. If we could get them to do it and commit, that seems to be the key. Ask Alan Jackson. Or don't. The judge spent the holiday season having conversations with her family and friends about what her future holds. I've conducted over 1,000 jury trials in my career, too many high profile and notorious cases to name. Does anybody know of any other one besides Delphi? Because I'd never heard of her or any cases she'd ever covered prior to the Delphi. Maybe I just wasn't looking, but I don't know what she's talking about. Those cases are difficult and take a toll. Now it is my opportunity to relax, spend time with my family, friends, and my dogs, play with my grandchildren, and expand my garden and travel. You do that, ma'am. You do that. Sounds nice. Sounds heavenly. The judge said she has every confidence that I cannot talk today, guys. The judiciary remains in good hands in Allen County, and that she is looking forward to becoming a senior judge, helping out with cases as needed. Over the years, Gall has overseen several widely known cases, including the death penalty case of a Fort Wayne man who killed his brother, his sister's fiance, and two friends. Wow, okay, so there's one. The murder trial of a man convicted of killing a Fort Wayne woman and her three young children. Oh, goodness. And serving as the special judge of the murder trial for a man convicted of killing two teenage girls in Delphi in 2017. Well. Let's hope that retirement, all right, retirement treats Miss Gull well. And I don't know anything about her daughter and her career, so I couldn't tell people how to vote in Indiana. I don't live there, so I got no dog in that hunt, right? But yes, you think it would be interesting to find out them other cases. How'd she rule? She probably ruled like she was supposed to. Delphi is the enigma, right? The hell we doing there? Because you went all in on this. I doesn't mean I don't know. It would be interesting to see what kind of rulings she made and what kind of evidence she allowed in, if those cases even went to trial all the way. Hell, I watched a Dateline last night. This poor guy got tried 3 times. Second trial, I was like, I don't think y'all are ever going to figure out if he did it or not. Like, it's legit. You're never going to figure it out. And I got my doubts, right? And then I was like, a third trial, damn, they were just relentless with absolutely no evidence. Yeeks. All right. So that was our little case update there on Miss, what's her name? Christina Gall. Let me pull up something on her real quick. Maybe we can get a little glimpse at her. I took a little glimpse into a rabbit hole yesterday. Timothy Busfield and your psychosexual analysis. I had to know more about the doctor because that's an important topic these days. those analyses and those doctors who conduct them. And low risk, right? I'm like, oh, wait, I got to know more. So let's see if we can find out a little bit more about Miss, what's her actual last name? Like, is she married? I think I had it wrote down, but I don't know what I did with my note on Gall. Oh, goodness. Lord. Yeah, Christina Gull. I don't think that, I think she's married, um, but I can't recall her last name. Here, hold on. Do it this way. Christina is currently an Allen County deputy prosecutor. She announced her campaign in January of 2026 for the nonpartisan seat following her mother's retirement announcement. Wow. Um, okay, let's see. Yes, here we go. All right, we got it. So here she is. Whoa, no, get out of there. A younger Fran Gull. There's her daughter, Christina. Christina Gull will run for Allen's Superior Judgeship. She's currently the Allen County Deputy Prosecutor. She will run for her mother's nonpartisan seat. And then it goes on. Okay, Christina's campaign sent out a release on Wednesday saying she will announce her run for the judgeship at 11 a.m. Friday at the Allen County Courthouse Green. So that's tomorrow. She'll have a little announcement. Campaign sent a release Wednesday saying she will announce her run for the judgeship at 11 a.m. on Friday, okay, at the Allen County Courthouse Green area. Christina worked for the Allen County Prosecutor's Office from 2011 to 2013 before taking a job in Indianapolis. She returned to the local prosecutor's office in 2022. Because judgeships are nonpartisan races, candidates will file their campaigns in the fall instead of before the May primary. Election day is November 3rd. Mark your calendars. Candidates file for various county offices. Candidates for town council and trustee offices. Okay, well, I'm not concerned with all that. Got enough of that going on around here. Okay. um, so, yeah, there's a little rundown on who she is and a little bit about her credentials there. So, I did get a Vine notification, I think after the fact. I think I saw it on X first that McKee was transferred back over to Ohio. And I think just a few minutes later, the Vine alert came in on my phone. That was yesterday at some point. But so he has a hearing tomorrow. Let's see. So he's back in Ohio, and he is scheduled tomorrow in Franklin County. He is currently now in Ohio at the Franklin County Jail. Is scheduled for arraignment tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If we get a feed for that, I will be live with that. Maybe live before that. We'll see how things work out and progress and see how I feel. So we'll have to see how that goes, and then see if he continues to. Remember at the extradition hearing, the attorney that was appointed said that he intended to plead not guilty. Now remember, this guy's not indigent, right? So no public defender once you get over here to Ohio. You're going to have to probably provide your own counsel. Will he hire somebody else? Will he have, you know what I'm saying? But we don't know how he'll plead once that happens. Just because he intended to plead doesn't mean he'll actually do it once he gets there. But who knows? He might. He may be all in on his innocence. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. We know we've had this happen before, though. I'm innocent. I was riding around looking at moon and stars because mother taught me to relax like that. And 2 years later, oh, wait, no, I did it. I did it. Whoa, okay. So we can't trust that them alibis are always, or what they say is gold. But I was reminded in the comments after our Busfield show that people are innocent until proven guilty. I'm like, yeah, we're aware. But we will discuss facts, opinions, and theories, right? Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining me, putting up with me not feeling 100%, but we're going to get into this a little more. Now, Mickey Stein's case, we've been waiting on a couple of rulings over there. I do have that video. We haven't reviewed it yet. There's not much to see or hear except for a very boring talking judge. But Mullins is seated next to Judge Cohen, who is the sitting judge or presiding judge over Mickey Stein's murder trial, right? And the defense has come in and said, wait a minute, he didn't disclose that he had a working relationship in this committee with Judge Mullins. And he should have done that. And we want him to recuse himself because of that. So I've got the video they cited in the court document, but we're not going to watch it right this second. We may come back to it later, but we will look at it eventually because we're going to talk about it more. But it just shows them in this, committee room. Everybody's sitting around. They're just talking about the committee that they're there to talk about, which is a health program. Anyway, so now they had asked the Supreme Court to weigh in on it. Remember in Judge Gull over there kicking attorneys off the team, oh wait, I cannot have court hearings. Wait, yes you can, and I'll allow a camera to come in this time so they can watch me fire the attorneys. The Supreme Court said, ma'am, not so fast. Get them attorneys back on their job. So let's see, let me pull this up. Now, remember I don't know if y'all remember, we talked about this. Let me get the right folder here. Whoops. Mickey Stein's had that last hearing, and it was like it's supposed to be a bond hearing and everything. And as soon as the hearing got underway, they were called to chambers. And right after they came out of chambers, the judge is like, oh, we got to call this hearing. We're one and done. We'll get back to you later. This is why. The defense is like, we need you to step down, sir. Now, will he do it? We'll see. Now, we also know that the defense in Delphi asked for a recusal, and it was up to the judge to decide if they recuse themselves or not. Got the same situation happening over here in Kentucky now. So, all right, let's get this article pulled up. Okay, the Supreme Court won't step in on Stein's judge recusal issue for now. And this is the judge over on the left. And he is Special Judge Christopher Cohen. And in this, of course, on the right is Mickey. The Kentucky Supreme Court is leaving the decision over whether or not special judge whether or not the special judge over a former Letcher County Sheriff's murder trial will remain on the case up to the judge himself. The former sheriff, Mickey Steins, is charged with murder for the September 19, 2024 shooting death of Letcher District Judge Kevin Mullins in the judge's chambers. Last month, Stein's attorney asked the special judge Christopher Cohen be removed from the case, citing a potential conflict because the two men attended a meeting of the Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health and sat next to each other just 1 week prior to the shooting. That's a little, 1 week. They were literally sitting. They were side by side. There was an empty chair in between them, I believe, but they were still side by side. So they did know who each other were, and they were serving on the same committee. Does that influence the judge or not? I don't know. Jet, you're on a squeaky bus, but trying to listen. Do I need to talk louder? I can't even. I'm struggling. The motion also noted the judge's refusal to allow the defense to present Stein's psychiatric report at an upcoming bond hearing also suggested bias. Now, he did deny that. Um, he didn't allow them to bring that in. In an order issued Tuesday afternoon, the court noted that the defense's motion was ambiguous as to whether it was requesting that Cohen remove himself from the case or that Chief Justice Deborah Lambert appoint a new judge. Regardless, the court weighed in on the matter, deciding to allow Cohen to determine whether or not to recuse himself, without ruling on the merits of the request. In the event he decides to keep himself on the case, the defense will be given an opportunity to ask the Deputy Chief Justice Robert Conley to review the case. Okay, so there's no timeline given for when Cochran could rule. So even if Cochran comes back and says, "Oh, I'm going to stay on the case," then the defense can come and ask the Deputy Chief Justice to review. Dang, does it take all that, right? If someone's accusing a judge of a conflict, wouldn't it just benefit the judge to go ahead and recuse? So later we can't come back with something, right? Well, y'all should be like that first judge in Delphi. Peace out. I'm recusing myself. Like, okay. So it's not hard, right? It's pretty easy. Is it a blemish on their record if they do? I think it would just be like common sense. Let me bow out so nobody can say anything nefarious or bias was happening. You would think that full transparency would absolutely matter. So they issued a little statement, and that was basically what they said. If they're going to send it right back to the courts, the lower courts, and let the judge decide himself, and then take it from there, guys. But they're yeah, they need to get busy with it. It's been a minute as far as getting ready for trial. I think the defense feels ready. I don't know what's going on with it. Well, we got to wait on this judge to make some more rulings, so maybe he takes his time. Maybe he takes his time. All right, guys, there's a little tiny topic we're going to jump on for a moment. We can circle back to this if people want, or we may just come back and do a little members only this weekend and hang out while the world's freezing and talk about it. I don't know. Every time I think I want to talk about it, I get a little aggravated, and then I got a lot actual true crime cases to talk about, right? That's the thing. When I do plan to talk about this a little bit, it's like there's actual true crime cases to talk about. But I'm here for some of the content, well, a tiny bit of it that's out there. But anyway, in case y'all haven't heard, some of you may, some of you may not. The podcast producer for HTC has a little lawsuit against the DoorDash people, the DoorDash driver. Something about out of Kansas. I heard like a blurb about it a couple days ago. It didn't take me long to find the documents. I just kind of shelved them. I was like, because I still haven't reviewed that Patreon live yet with my community that I reviewed with Jay's community when she did it live. And the only reason that whole thing, because it's not about the drama of it all, it's like, whoa, this is intense as far as telling me what kind of people you really are. And what's up with this girl? Like, I think Dr. Dangerous might have saw a red flag or two in their little producer. Don't know. But we have the document if y'all want to get it. Y'all know we're the document people around here. If there's a document, we're going to read it. Document, give it to us. Uh-oh. Did I lose connection for a moment? You haven't heard that? Is chat doing okay? Let me refresh something here. Okay. Sandy says it's in the 80s there for the next few days. It's going to be really warm here today, but there, by the end of the weekend, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be different. Like, make up your mind. It's like all the whole world just turned into Florida all of a sudden, bipolar with their weather situation. But yeah, it's totally expected. January and February is always like blizzard conditions, right? It's like not a shocker to me. I know when hurricane season's coming and what to expect. Like, it surprises me when people find out it's cold in the winter. It's supposed to be, isn't it? If it's not, we're in trouble. That global warming is real. It appears to be fine on the PC, Forest, but I was looking at my phone watching the chat and it appeared that I was lagging. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm having coffee too, Rachel. I didn't have coffee for 2 days because I didn't feel good. All right, so let me show you guys something. We'll touch on this for a minute and then we'll move on to our next discussion because let me see if it, let's see if it will, uh, let me pull it up to have it re-enter information. Of course not. It lets you save the, when you think you're saving like the documents, it lets you save the link where they're at. Then you got to put everything in over again. Every time with these, some of these, not all the websites that do it, but some of them, to look up their case information stuff. Oh, here we go. I do have it saved like this. Aha. I did try to make it easy on myself. Oh. No, that's not. Okay, that, whoa, that wasn't what I thought it was. That was Grayson's declaration. What the hell? Where'd that come from? We've already seen it. All right, case search Kansas. Here we go. Aha. Now, except, let me get this information re-entered, guys, and then I'll pull up the screen and show you. What's there? We're sharing public information. Okay. All right. And this is the current situation that's like ongoing apparently. I had the document, well, I had it or I have it, I can't remember. I hadn't even read it yet because I don't even know if I, it's just, I don't know. I've had a lot of other documents to read and some other stuff weighing on my mind last night other than these heifers. But anyway, where'd it go? Hearings. Okay. So 11/19/2025, a hearing was scheduled in the matter. Notice of appearance. Okay, this, let me go back down. So apparently she got into a fender bender over in Kansas. I don't know what she was doing there. I didn't care to look at the dates, deep dive what case, what, I don't know. I honestly don't care why the girl was in Kansas, but she was in Kansas at the moment and she gets into a little wreck. And apparently it's a DoorDash driver. So now she has a lawsuit against them. And these are just like the case details. Jury trial set for November. Are we going that far? I gotta find what I did with the document. Let's see if we can. I think it right here. Hold on. Oh goodness. Okay. Um, okay. So this is Grayson versus, and there's the gentleman's name who was the driver, the case number. The file date was March 2025, Johnson County, Judge Triplet, automobile tort, um, petition. Let's see, I'll go all the way back down to the bottom because that shows you where the first filing was entered. I think it was. So we got a notice of pending dismissal that came up on the 4th. Can we do? Oh, we can view the document. You are hereby scheduled in this matter for Wednesday, November 19th. That's already occurred, right? For case management, filed a proposed order for the proposed order to include finding of good cause, notice of the next hearing. I don't even know. Are they still, is this case still active? See, that's how much I didn't deep dive it yet, guys. And I just have other things to talk about this morning. So we may revisit this. So if you hear it out there, yeah, it is true. We can see it right here back in September of 2025, June of 2025. It's been going on all year, right? Um, June of 2025 wasn't her boss doing some sort of a podcast during that time frame? Oh wow. May, all the way back in May again, April, March. See? So there's a petition here. Now comes the plaintiff, Ms. Yor, by and through her attorneys. Uh, let's see what it says. What does it say a little bit of? Okay. She was a resident of Johnson County at the time. So is she from Kansas? I'm confused. I didn't never study where the hell she was from. I know where she's at now, living large on somebody's couch. Um, so she's bringing it against the door because I guess he was on duty when he ran into her, or who ran. I don't know who ran into who. Why can't we see the whole document? Anyway, guys, we may have to come back to that hot mess of a moment when we do the review of that show I want to review, and I'll couple that with it and we can go over it in case we get bored and need something to talk about. We're not above it either. Goodness. What's happening within what case, Rachel? The DoorDash case? You grew up there, Jet, in Kansas, in Johnson County, nice area. That's apparently she was residing there. So can we take it that I don't know if that's where her family was from or not. Before she went to work for Lauren, she worked for other podcasters. So I don't know if she lived. I don't know. I don't know. Never gave that girl's history a lot of thought until she invited me into her history herself. And then I'm like, girl, you shouldn't have. Oh, Lordy. I love a good reality show. And baby girl, did you give us one? So, see, I may have to come back and talk about this tonight just to give the tea, right? Give my take on the tea. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, we're going to get into something a little more heavier, though, guys. So, there are, like there's always going to be a lot out there with Idaho 4 and whatever. We're going to whatever it. I'm going to whatever it because I don't nothing I can do about any of it. There is a couple of photos within the nearly 3,000. Actually, there's one photo that I've seen. Two that's it's like, what are you doing there? Okay, but one for sure out of nearly the 3,000 photos that were dropped, and you can barely see it because of the way the photo was taken. It was meant to show the wall, but it captured a very small portion of Xana on the floor. And because people pointed that out, a lot of people were able to see it. Should it have happened? No. Do I feel bad enough for the families as it is? Yes. But these things come out in crime cases. Am I going to go all in and point fingers at the cops or whoever did the redactions? Because there's a lot of redactions that have to be done in this case. We're still waiting. Hell, they put a whole entire docket of case files out, remember, just recently, and didn't do the redactions properly and took back all 40 documents and have yet to replace them. So I'm not going to get my energy all out of whack over that one photo, right? Y'all do better across the board. That's all we can ask of them. If I'm going to tear down these departments for doing shitty jobs, I'm going to go right after WSU. Sorry. I feel like the bigger crime was had there. Y'all redacted the whole ass hot mess. You redacted your whole department. We don't. Shh. It's not our guy. But secretly, we thought it was. Yeah, we'll talk about that instead, okay? But that's out there. I didn't point it out. I haven't shown it here and said, hey, look, there it is. It's self explanatory, right? It tells me how the victim fell and landed, which we kind of already knew. So that's the kind of things I saw. I didn't see anything else. I mean, I saw it, but I can unsee it just as fast as I see it. I had this morbid thing. I've always been able to look at crime scene photos. Always. 40 years worth of true crime. And I guess I can compartmentalize. No, it's not fun to look at them, and I don't like set out to look at all these photos, but if they're there, and I'll look at them. And these crime scene photos that just came out do paint a picture, right? But what does that picture tell us? Butterfly, I don't know if that's the reason. What I'm talking about, the 40 documents they dropped on the website for the Idaho docket, they messed up and didn't redact names, social security numbers, addresses, and they had to pull all of those back off. These the other day when y'all were saying that link didn't work and I didn't know why it wasn't working, I don't know that it was to do with that one photo. Right? I have no clue. I never went back to check to see if the link worked because I had them all saved to the computer already. So I never went and checked if the link was working or not working. I never went back to it. I never circled back, right? So I couldn't tell you why or if the link is back up. It's too late now. They're all out there. So it was, you know, now let me get this file pulled back up. Now I do have some things uploaded here to the computer. Let me see. Let's see. What do I have right this moment? Now, there were quite a few in here yesterday when we were talking about this, the different, what the spatter can tell us, right? Y'all were getting the 404 error. I didn't go back and check, honestly. Well, it's not just the Idaho 4 families, right? Look at Crescia, look at Kay. Have we not learned anything about victims over the past 3 months? Right? It's every single case. They're all sensitive in nature, especially when there's a brutal attack, deceased individuals. Every family is going to go through it. They have to see them. Just think about this. If we went to court, if Steve Gonsalves had gotten his way and went to trial, those photos would be presented to the jury in the courtroom. So, because we didn't go to trial, we shouldn't release them now. I can't sit in that corner because then I got to sit there with every case we follow, right? So I try to treat them all the same because I call that wishy-washy if I don't, and I don't got time for wishy-washy. But yeah, we don't, and families probably should stay off the internet at times like this. You know what I mean? People shouldn't be sending them stuff. I know they claim they got just a little bit of warning before it hit, and by the time it was too late. But people shouldn't be sending them things. Just say, hey, it's out there, stay off. I would tell my friend, hey, this is out there. Don't know if you know it, but you might want to stay off the internet. Not, here, look what just dropped. Like, that's ridiculous. Who's doing that? Question yourself, not the family, if you're doing that, right? Question your intentions. When you could simply say, hey, maybe a good idea to sit this one out for a little while. I'll take the hit for you. I'll let you know when they get over it, right? Quote unquote, they. Rachel, the only expert that's going to be in 10 feet of this assailant to study him is Ramsland. And she's all over it. There's one doctor out there who does a good try on analyzing Kohberger, but I'm just not quite there yet with him. But yeah, they will. He's being studied. Trust me. If your literal job is to study criminal behavior of serial killers and these types of killers, your literal entire job, and your student turns out to be one, you're not going to look into it. What red flags did we miss? How did a whole criminology department? Oh wait, they didn't miss the red flags. They saw them. But, I mean, there's a whole lot to unpack there and to figure out the whys. Why people move the way they do. Why did this department react the way they did, right? Like, y'all could have, you're a criminology department. We got questions. Yeah, once it's public record, it is what it is, and we want things to be public record. We understand why we have redactions. I don't think anybody questions the the need for that in sensitive cases. If people are using their logical brain today, right? Who? JSM. Okay, so let's look at this. Let me bring up a couple of things before we get into the actual photos. Now, this is just some like preliminary things. Jet, how you know who I'm talking about, Jet? I've been following the analysis for what, 3 years. I still feel like he's fallen a little short. They're missing the mark. He's not a textbook case, right? There's differences here with our hybrid killer, and I call him the hybrid killer. I do find Dr. Ricardo intriguing. I like to watch him. I like to listen. Doesn't mean I agree with everything, but I do listen. And of course, we love our Joe Scott and Gary are totally different. Joe Scott's our crime scene analysis guy, and Gary's our psychoanalysis guy. Yeah, we get the information from both worlds. I'm waiting on Joe Scott to get on his podcast, Body Bags, right, and talk about these crime scene photos. Because if you guys don't know, that's where you can find a lot of his conversations. It's directly on his podcast, Body Bags. And he has talked about this case in depth over there. Um, Different thoughts and things. So yeah, it's good conversations. So if you're into that type of conversation, I would suggest giving it a listen. Okay, so here's some information that I gathered, because there's been a lot of talk about it, and we all want to know more. Oh wait, I got to get the screen up there. Hold on, I didn't share the screen yet. Oh, actually, let me get this folder to pull up while I'm getting that other thing ready. Okay, get that up. Oh, I don't need to share the screen. What am I doing? These are all preloaded for me. Okay. All right, let me get back to it. So this is some information that I did pull up. There's that. All right, let me get the image back on the screen. Okay, so when you're looking at the droplets on the floor, right? You can tell the size is related to the distance fallen, right? So higher equals bigger drops. So they have like the 7 foot. So if it's a drop from a 7 foot fall down, you're going to have a bigger spot, um, and the little spines that come out from there. Um, Little change in diameter beyond a 1.2 millimeter, and no change after 7 foot because the drop reaches maximum velocity. So if they're just like 6 inches, right, from the surface, you're going to get a smaller droplet. And then they go up to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 for examples there. Now, when you're looking at the, I'm going to probably, I might, it takes so long, and I feel like I'll do it for the members because I think they'll watch it, but maybe do a video and put some of these images next to some of the crime scene stuff for comparison. We're going to do that a little bit here today. So we have that image. Now this one also, take a look at the one on the left, right? Oh, let the screen catch up here on the phone. This is types of bloodstain patterns. We have passive, projected, transfer, or contact. Welcome in, Heidi, Jet. Welcome in, Ravina, Denver. Welcome in. Um, of course, everybody else who's just watching and not chatting. True Grit, welcome in. Good morning, everybody. I hope y'all are warm and safe and preparing for this impending weather we're going to have. And of course, my mod team, welcome in. And everybody listening, thanks for listening. Okay, so passive would be created from the force of gravity, which is drops, pulls, and flow pattern. Projected occur when force is applied to the source of the blood, low, medium, and high impact. Cast off, arterial spurting. And they're going to show an example in a minute of the arterial spurting, okay? Transfer or contact, created when a wet, bloody object comes in contact with a target surface. Okay. Now imagine droplets coming down off of your knife and hitting the floor. Then every time you also impact your victim, and you got to come back because you're not shooting, you're stabbing. We all know what I'm going there. Every time you go back down and back up, there should be something, right? Either some cast off drops, even walking out of the house with a vacuum in your hand, maybe stuff could drip. Okay. This one here is the types, excuse me, types of bloodstain patterns. Oh, hey, real happy. I haven't watched that Banfield trial. I've seen the headlines, but I haven't watched any of it. Thank you for coming in, though. We appreciate that. Um, pulling, coming in as part of the community and over there modding at the same time. Thank you. All right. So passive fall is on the left. Now, take notice of the one in the center here, the arterial spurt. See how it impacts the surface and how it does from there, and also with the dripping downward, right? Then you got your splashes, smears, which I think are pretty obvious to a lot of people, trails, which is, trail leading away, and then pools. Now, this one was curious because we see this in the images of the crime scene. Drop size and amount can indicate what type of wound caused the spatter. The fine mist spatter is high velocity, like a gunshot or a stabbing. That's if you got somebody strong coming in hard, that could be a high impact, right? I don't know what they would actually, well, maybe drops because it's got low velocity, like a blunt object. And they say these victims had blunt force injuries, right? So fine mist spatter, high velocity, like a gunshot, which we over here to the left. Well, I guess that does make sense. Look, because on the left, you're going to have this impact plus all that finer mist all the way around, right? So blood cast off, medium velocity, like a beating, and then drops, which is low velocity. With Kaylee, it has been in the documents, not only was Kaylee stabbed, but Kaylee was beaten. So when we look at the images around where Kaylee would have been, keep that in mind when you look at the wall, trying to analyze what we see. That's a good question, Heidi. But I get what you're saying without getting super graphic. That the cough, would it expel like that? But if what's on the wall in the victims' bedrooms, I don't think would be from cough because of the way they were laying. They were facing the assailant. So would that have came back onto the assailant versus the wall, right? Unless the victim was facing the wall with her face. So, but this image on the right looks a lot like what we see in the crime scene. And notice that void in the center right there. Well, almost in the center. It says voids equal empty spaces which indicate movement. Okay. And there's this one. Now, this hand swipe, that is all in Xana's bedroom. So got an image here of low velocity patterns, 90-degree drops. Now notice the difference in the hair impact and the hair swipe. We see a swipe like this hair swipe in some of these images. Hair impact as well, and I can point those out to you and see if we are on the same page. The hand swipe. Now, blood into blood, like standing still and these drops dropping on top of each other, right? They will come out into this pattern, and there will be a dark center in each droplet, you can basically see. And of course, we have the cast off and what that might look like, and a fabric swipe. Okay, and then we have this one. Again, it's the droplets, circular drops that vary depending on the surface, and then you got smooth round drops, rough equals satellites and spikes. So the smooth equals rounds, drops, and then rough equals satellites and spikes. So there's what they call satellites, or the little droplets around the drop, and the spikes are the little spiky things literally around the droplets. Victim remains in one place while bleeding. That's the pooling, which trails, again, you can see it there in the image, spots left by the victim as they move from one place to another. That's different than what a cast off would appear, right? So I need to get some more visuals and put them together in a video. I think that would be interesting too. This is intriguing to me as well, um, especially when you look at some of the images and um, people are like, well, how did this guy pull this off? All these things. I'm gonna grab a fresh cup of coffee before we get into anything super graphic as far as photos. Now, this is one from the other day when we did our last show, or the first show, going through the photos. Remember, I was not feeling good toward the end, and I just couldn't find the photo real quick. So, because it's like 3,000 photos, here's the photo, um, and it looks the way it does. These purple boxes around it when it shows on the screen there. That was the black box redactions, because this is literally Maddie Mogen is there, right? So the probable cause affidavit did say that this sheath was found partially under the covers and partially under a victim. And of course, I know that people are going to have their theories on how it got there. I don't have a theory, except Koberger said he did it, and I haven't heard a good explanation yet as to why he would do that if he didn't. So I'm willing to listen if we get there, but until then, he did it. So I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody this was a planted sheath. In fact, Friday filer Jay Logden came in hot one Friday evening, filed last minute with this big document, and alluded to this thing could have been planted. Oh my God, the internet burnt down that whole weekend. But he never brought that up again. So I'm assuming he was satisfied that it wasn't, right? And never went down that road. So we can take it to the bank. Probably it got left there by the assailant. Okay. So let me grab my coffee, guys. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry, guys. I hate to leave y'all hanging like that, but I needed that cup of coffee. uh, okay. Okay. So there we go. There was the sheath placed on. We know that Maddie had the white bed in her room. And it's, as you can see, it's partially under the cover, and the victim is under the cover as well. So when the PCA says they came into the door and looked in, you probably didn't see it because of the way the blanket's a little puffy there. And you probably had to walk into the room to the side of the bed to actually see it, right? It wouldn't have been visible from the door. There was a lot of chatter about that in the early days, about that confusing PCA. But if we're going to talk about the confusing PCA, we'll go right back to WSU. We found this car. Oh, wait, no, we didn't. Okay. Wicked. I haven't, that, the old audio that's resurfaced after 3 years, I know. I don't listen to the audio. I listen to the audio that came out of the drops of the white sedan circling its prey, and I hear no craziness. I know a lot of people do, but that's their opinion. That's fine. Um, yeah, it is sad. It's very sad. So everybody out there, propping up this guy who claimed he did it, think about these poor victims, right? That's where my thoughts go, is with the victims. So, and how they were dragged for years. Bless their little hearts. Okay, so there it is. Now, upside down, it's lying down. The snap, you can see the snap down. And the only reason I'm looking at that is because I'm trying to figure out how the perpetrator got it there. Why there? You standing on the side of the bed, did you walk in? There's two victims asleep. It's quiet because you snuck in and nobody knows you're in there yet. Except maybe Murphy, because is he across the hall in Kaylee's room? We still don't know for sure. But the only one that might know, unless Murphy was sound asleep. So let's just pretend he was in the bedroom all by himself. He's no count. The little dog apparently was no count. So these girls are asleep. He walks into the room. He stands beside the bed right there. Does he take out his weapon and lay it down? And he starts having to reach over one to get to the other? Or did he jump on the bed automatically and just go at it simultaneously? That I don't know. Maybe we can learn a little bit about that just from the images of what's on the walls, right? Think about how Kaylee's positioned on the other side of Maddie. How is he going to get to her he went full force on her apparently. Granted, it's a twin bed. It's not going to take a whole lot for this tall guy to reach over there. You can tell from the impacts on the wall, he was low. So, were you on the bed kneeling over these victims, straddling one of them? And one's that you're not straddling, is she trying to get up? And what do? Do you drop your knife, or do you use your knife as a weapon, right? It's a lot that could be learned from. And I don't have any photos uploaded from Kaylee's wall, but we can look at them on the images that I do have. I have all of them downloaded. But as far as what I have here on the computer. Now, this one was interesting too to take a look at. Because if you rotate it, which I can't do it here, but I can when we get to the documents, it looks like a handprint, right? It's not a swipe. It doesn't appear to be like hair touching the floor. Is it like a handprint? Of course, we can't get over the one that I'm like, what? Right there? Is that so close? This one is still intriguing me because the document says he appeared to sit down. They laid the laptop there. It wasn't there in some of the photos. I've looked at this chair from all angles, and this is the most I see on it, right? Even from a front angle, that's the most you see. I don't know where they got sitting down, unless he's straddling victims and he's getting soaked in the process. And then did he sit down for a split second? Like, whoa, what just happened in this bedroom was a lot that I didn't expect. You know what I mean? Did he sit down there for a brief moment, long enough to look down at the victim and tell her, "Don't worry, I'm here to help you"? If that was even said at all. Could have been a figment of the imagination due to the movie she watched that night. She's lucid sometimes and not the others, so I can't even take that into consideration anymore, that it was actually said, right? But did you sit down and pause for a moment? Really? What would that one tell us, right? As far as what we can review as what images might look like and the types of spatter. That kind of looks like a little bit of a heel, don't it? Right there on the left. Out there kind of like by itself. All right, this next one's gonna, see, this one is a little more, like, does it, I mean, the butt of the chair is cleaner, so clean compared to the armrest area. So I just don't know how they can determine that this person or Kohberger sat down. But what you will notice, if you will, on the door itself, this would be the outside of the door. This door opens inward to Xana's room. There's blood going down the door on the outside of it. Was that caused because she was already bleeding before she got back to her room? And something else to consider, we don't know how intoxicated Ethan really was. We know all about somebody else's level of intoxication. We don't know the level of Ethan's intoxication or Xana's. If Xana is already bleeding before she gets to her room, is she not making a lot of noise when she enters that room? And we can see she put up a fight. Is he waking up? This guy realizes there's a guy in here, but she's injured enough that he can leave her for a moment and go take care of the guy. And she's still moving when he's done with the guy. That's what I'm wondering. Because I have a hard time believing Ethan would sleep or calmly lay there through Xana's entire attack. What do y'all think? Wiccan, there's probably a million ways to Sunday on how he pulled that off, and the only one that can answer it is him. And I hope he tells Ramsland the whole story. BTK sure did. Kohberger knows that BTK spilled the beans to that lady very matter-of-factly, with no emotions behind it whatsoever. I've watched them. I've watched the tapes and the interviews that she's done with BTK. It's astonishing how matter-of-fact that guy really was about his crimes and how he had no emotion about what he did. And how strategic he was about a lot of it. It's insane. Y'all don't think she's going down that same hole with this guy if she can do it? I think she will. Yeah, Rachel. Well, you had to. You have to. You have to take that big guy down quick. But we also heard there were some things done to Ethan that weren't necessary to take Ethan down and out. There were things done to his legs, according to court documents, that weren't necessary. What were those things done? Was that a aha, I'm going to show you now kind of thing, or what? Why? So did you go from Xana, she's down, but you got to stop this big guy, he's getting up. You go do that. You go back to her because she's still moving. Then do you take a moment when you partially sit in the chair and then you jump up and decide to do this extra stuff? Time frame. We didn't have much time in the house. But God, there was a lot of shit happening real fast, apparently. Super fast. And I always imagined that it did happen extremely fast. Especially once what happened in the third floor happened and Xana was awake. And I don't care what that girl said in that one bedroom. I firmly believe what she heard outside her door was the Kohberger and Xana. It was never Kaylee. She just, I can't trust her to know who that was, right? You slept through a fire alarm for 30 minutes. Goodness, don't do it. Well, it's like the people who have 30 alarms going off at the same time because they can't get up. I'm like, how do you do that? I couldn't sleep through all that. Yeah, so Danny Rollin went into one of his victims' homes. He didn't anticipate the 6-foot guy that was going to be there spending the night. He didn't, and he's like, I was totally floored by that guy. And all of a sudden, I was met with something I was not prepared to do. And he took care of the situation as well. He had one male victim, Danny Rollin, and the guy wasn't supposed to be there. Isn't that crazy? If Kohberger was watching, he probably knew that the guy was there from time to time, but he probably thought they were asleep. I don't know. You're sneaking around viewing the house and you saw the lights go out and you thought 5 minutes later they're all asleep. I don't know how that went. I don't know his thought process, right? Would like to know more about his thought process. Either he removed those clothes in the yard, Jet, or in the kitchen. But would there be traces? You could, so if he would he have had a lot on him to start? I think from Xana's room, yes. From Maddie and Kaylee, if he even straddled them, if that's a theory, um, or bent over. They had the blankets on top. Now we saw that big gash in Xana's mattress. Remember, there was one and then a second one. Like, did he miss? Because there's no blood around those stabs in the mattress. So I'm not going to think somebody was lying there and he stabbed through the mattress. Did you miss? Because this girl's moving and you got the side of that bed. Because right where those stabs are, it's right on the edge of the mattress. Damn near. Um, so if Kaylee and Maddie had a blanket over them, how much of their blood would have gotten on him? How much would have soaked into the material on top of them, right? Stopping it from reaching him to that extent. But then by the time he gets to Xana's room, that's not as much of a controlled situation because that's a completely out of hand situation, right? So he would have had to have gotten something on him from the impacts in Xana's room. So if he changed in the kitchen or even on the back patio, would taking the clothes off transferred to the ground in some way, right? If not, then he changed up by the car or just jumped in the car and took off. Was the car covered in something? My thought process would be he just yanked off his kill suit, right? Threw it in the backpack. Already prepared for that situation. Toss it in the trunk or back seat that's already lined. Everything's contained to a backpack. What the hell? Except for my sheath. Where'd it go? Oh man. I'm at my dump site, and the one thing I do not have is my sheath. Holy goodness. I think I got everything off of it. Mm, right? I don't know if he would have had his heat on or not. He's a Scorpio. He probably likes it cold. He likes the cold. I don't know. So that's one of the curious questions I think a lot of people will always wonder is the blood transfer, right, from him to the car. But we also got to consider how long he had that car before they captured him, and how much time did he have to maybe, I'm sure he took precautions to try to transfer as little as possible to that car. And then we heard in court documents that he was apparently meticulously cleaning the car, but we've seen no evidence of that yet. We've not seen pictures of him meticulously cleaning the car. Instead, we got a bunch of crime scene photos from the bloody mess he left. But nothing on him. No video of his arrest. No photos of him cleaning the car. No gloved photos of him sticking trash into a baggie. I still want to see that drone footage that sees him in the back of his parents' house looking out the slider, looking up at the drone, watching him. Can I get that, please? If they would actually release some of that stuff, and that might tamper things a little bit. I don't know. Jet, those get you. Yeah, that shows the force. It just shows the intent and the fact that there was no blood around those particular stabs on the bed. Were those misses, right? Did you miss? And I'll always believe that that was Xana encountering him as he came down the stairs from the third floor back to the second. There's this girl, and she's like screaming and running. Remember, Dylan said she heard screaming and somebody sounded scared and someone's here. She wants me to believe it was Kaylee, but Kaylee was deceased upstairs. Again, the defense would have tore that girl apart. Yeah, he approximately went into the house at, so you have all the footage, right, that was released, and we have the Linda Lane stuff. The last time that car circles back behind those apartments is 408. And then it speeds away at 420. So from 408 to 420. Now give the guy a second to park and get out, and plus to get back in and take off. 408 to 420. Y'all do the math, right? That's your timeline. How long did it take to get out of the car and get into the house, up the stairs, and start the attack? How long did that attack upstairs really last? Boom, 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 boom. You're hauling ass down those stairs now, and oh my God, there's a person, a girl. And by the time you see that other one peeking out the door at you, are you too tired to mess with her and you just go on about your merry way? Because you're wore out and you just realized, whoa, a lot's happening here. Got to get out of here. That adrenaline had to be going like nobody's business, right? Well, I don't know why he didn't go after Dylan. There's two theories. Either he was too tired and, well, I guess there's three. Too tired and just got out of there, didn't see her like she thinks he did. Or they're friends. I don't know. Just saying. If I take that off the table, they don't know each other, then he didn't see her, or he saw her in the adrenaline. He was just too tired and he just needed to go. Who knows? I'm sure that would be a. I wonder if Anne asked him that question. Did you see that girl? She says that she saw you. What is he telling Ann? That wasn't me in the house, ma'am. I was driving around looking at the moon and the stars. I don't know how my sheath got there. Was he playing that card with Ann all the way to the end? Or did he finally own up to it? She acts like he did. He said he did it, but did he give her any details, right? Because you got to ask your client about the discovery you're being given. This girl says she made eye contact with you if you were in that house, and you better tell me, right? But if he played it all the way to the end, she may not have ever asked him if he's saying he wasn't there. Oh yeah, I get you, Wick, and I can agree with that. It's a very tight timeline. That was always a big like what? Four people in this timeline, but many people have done experiments. Set your timer, see how long this time really, it's longer than you think. All the things, but if you're going in with intent and you know exactly which room you want to go in, and you go right there, and it's real fast. If he hadn't ran into Xana, well, he still would have forgot his sheath, I guess, because Kaylee kind of, I think all the adrenaline from all that sheath got left right there on third floor. Even if he hadn't ran across Xana, if she'd have been in her room asleep, would she still be alive? Would it just be the two upstairs, right? I think it would. That's my opinion. I don't think that he went in there with the intent to do all that. It just turned out that way. But I could be completely wrong. He might have said, hey, I got a bunch of people. One time, one and done. But you'd think if he knew that, he would know the other roommates would be in the house. If you saw one and you're there for all that, you will. See, it's a lot to. Well, I balance it in my head. I'm like, I'll say one thing, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, what about this? Then I got to take a note about what I thought about a minute ago. And I'm like, these. So the theory can change, right, as we see more coming down in the case. Wait, what's going on? Yeah, well, you're Wiccan. I know a lot of people think that he didn't act alone, but if he didn't act alone, then he's protecting someone, and he's got his reasons, I suppose. Be another great question we need to ask one day, right? Yeah. So everybody's allowed to have their thoughts and opinions on it. We don't get tunnel vision around. Oh, look, I'm not new to Idaho 4, just in case anybody's wondering. So I have followed this case in depth from day one. Before the PCA was ever released, I've been down every single rabbit hole you could possibly take in the Idaho 4 case. All the twists and turns, the tunnels, the money laundering of it all, the frat boys fighting, the people that Kim and her I'm a mama. I heard a lady testify in court. She, on that third trial thing I watched, she got up with the defendant because she watched a Dateline on him and ended up, it's a whole thing, inserted herself into the case. But when she got on the stand to testify, she's like, I'm a mom. And I'm like, is that you, Kim? Is that you, Kim? I had to look at my TV screen to make sure I was falling asleep. Like, is that her? Goodness gracious. Hold on, I gotta get a drink of my soda. Okay. Um, Rachel lives in the area. It's a very heartbreaking case to her, and it's a little personal because of that. Yeah, I get it. We all have, I've talked about cases very close to home here. They do become near and dear to our hearts, and we kind of carry that weight around. So, and we don't want those slasher loose in Idaho. We got friends that live there. It's been a frustrating case. It can still be a frustrating case, right? There's not, I mean, I never really had a real question if this guy was the guy. I always felt like they had some decent probable cause, especially with the sheath. And I understand transfer, all that. I don't even, cereal boxes in the grocery store and all that. Y'all wash your hands. We have the flu season, and that we was coming off of a pandemic, but everybody wants me to believe you can go to the grocery store, pick up a box of cereal, change your mind, put it back. The coworker comes along, picks it up, puts it back. Then you come back. Oh, I guess I want it anyway. And you go home. Now you got his DNA and you're taking it home. And you get all the way to the house and unload your groceries, unpack them, put them all away, and go right to your room and handle your K bar without ever washing your hands. And oops, you just transferred his DNA to your K bar. Oh, y'all wash your hands, right? It's like, be logical. And then if he had went to a knife show and handled a K-bar and could provide me a receipt, we might could talk about transfer DNA at that point. Let's be logical, right? Don't come off with your cereal box analysis. What is that word salad? DNA is being challenged everywhere. Okay, we had IgG challenged here, didn't go nowhere. Rex Hurman's defense attorneys is like, yes, you can absolutely get our trash that we discard, but you can't collect that DNA off that trash. What are you talking about? And they're like, prosecutors like, excuse me, we've been doing this for a long time. We got Rex's DNA from the pizza. Get over it. Hey, Donnie, welcome in. I've never had Wiccan come in here and be disrespectful or ever act any kind of way. And Wiccan has been in here on numerous occasions, and I've never had any issue. And trust me, if I did, my mods would know it. And so thank you for coming in with your own thoughts and being respectful at the same time. Let's see. Well, we don't know for sure what all BK's traits are, right, Wiccan? We hear talk of it and we hear some talk about it in the documents. That Anne is going in hard on that now. And I really don't know that I can go all in on that because I don't know the extent. We had Grayson, damn it, man, and Dr. John on the Patreon. Grayson wanted to bring up that particular case and interject her family and automatically went to tie violence and autism. Even John couldn't get behind that one. You know what I mean? I got quirky traits. I've never been diagnosed with anything but anxiety disorder and PTSD, but damn it, man, do I got some quirky ass traits. I'll be the first to admit it. So who knows? We could all be, I think we are all on a spectrum to some extent. They just don't know where we land half the time. But we can't, and I've also heard people put a lot of emphasis on the ADHD also in the Reiner case. It's like, what I thought it was attention deficit disorder, attention hyperactive disorder, right? Hyperactive doesn't make me a murderer. What? ADHD doesn't, right? It means I got a stack of papers here and they're all got my attention. So, this ain't clean. That's out of place. Or what are we doing here? None of that's going to lead me to harm another individual. Other things might, but not that, right? I can control myself. It's important when you realize you have a condition to teach yourself the tools to try to manage your condition versus going out in the world screaming, oh, I got this wrong with me. You got to excuse me. I'm responsible for my own behavior. And I know how to look in the mirror and own my own shit. Like, girl, use a little extra today. Did you need to be all that? Then I tell myself, well, damn well, maybe I needed to be today. And then it's a whole conversation between the two of me. I'm a Gemini. Don't take that out of context. Oh, you're welcome, Wiccan. You're respectful. If you were in here saying craziness, it'd be different. We we tend to attract trolls when we talk about Idaho 4, but they're not in here to proclaim innocence. They're just here to wreak havoc. So, and you're not one of those. At least I don't think you are yet. You haven't shown me that you are. I'm pretty good at picking them out, but yeah, you're good. Well, the thing about the remember when Ann Taylor come in and said that there was unknown male on the the railing? We see that in these images, but there's also a lot more in that house, a lot more other blood. Um, so some of that they did uncover could have been old, from a cut or whatever from 2 weeks ago, last weekend, whatever, a month ago. It's obvious they were not the best at cleaning, right? Like the germs were just everywhere in there. I'm a little grossed out because I'm like, no with the germs. Hard no, please. All right, I'm going to pull up a few more pictures for us to look at and talk. We'll talk about before we. Now, again, tomorrow I'll figure out what's going on with the hearing in the McKee case and see if we can't get that up and running. I don't have any plans to go anywhere tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. I checked because they were talking about this cold stuff happening this weekend, like freezing. I'm like, wait a minute, what day is it? Do I need to get all my stuff together today? What's happening here? So yeah, I'm gonna get my shit together today. So I don't gotta do nothing all weekend but like eat food and go live. Hell, we'll just make a snow festival out of it. Look, Jet, let's see. Let me see if I can. Y'all just reminded me. Hold on. Let me see if I can. If I'm good at this. Where is it at? I have to revisit some of this sometimes when I get in the mood for just to do it. Let me find where is it really quickly. Okay. This is one of my life songs, as I call them, because we all get a little crazy. It's insane. That's how that song goes. And it was like, dude, come on. I keep it for the Jeepers and the Creepers who ain't right in the head, right? Yeah, I'm a little crazy, but the world's insane. So don't come at us for being a little crazy, right? Our crazy is better than that kind of crazy. Judy Lynn McKee was arrested in my hometown. Oh, goodness. Oh, welcome in, Judy Lynn. Welcome in. Yeah, so he's back in Ohio now and is supposed to have his arraignment tomorrow. What I say at 1? I believe it's at 1 o'clock. Yeah, Friday at 1 o'clock at Franklin County Courthouse. So we will keep updates on that. So he was arrested at what was a Chick-fil-A, right? They got him going to get his chicken sandwich or nuggets or whatever he's into. Whatever that guy was into. Um I'm still waiting. I haven't heard a lot of people like the experts come out and talk about the Nibin hit. We have learned that he had. We haven't talked about it since this stuff come out because we haven't been live to talk about it yet. But I do know that in the documents, they say he used the silencer, which also leads to premeditation. Because of course you don't want it to be super loud if you can help it, waking the children, waking the neighbors with that loud sound. So it makes sense. But can they track and trace the purchase, right? What date were these items purchased? The gun, the silencer? Were they bought off the street? Did he know a guy that knew a guy? because criminals they don't generally just walk into the gun store and legit buy them, right? Because there's a record of it and all. So they want something badly enough. Do you know a guy that knows a guy? And trust me, there are plenty of illegal firearms all over the streets right now. They're all over my streets, unfortunately. I'd love to know how they're getting in here. But that's a whole other story. Maybe one day we'll know. Somebody's bringing them in, filing off serial numbers and stuff. Goes back to the NIBIN hits. Our understanding is NIBIN collects spent rounds and casings from crime scenes. They document them, tool markings and all, upload into their database, and then when another crime scene occurs and bullets are recovered, they do the same process. And then lo and behold, we got 25 crime scenes and all these bullets appear to have come from the same gun. That's how we thought NIBIN worked, right? Interesting to see how that plays out. Normally, if you test fire a gun, you do it at a state lab. So what was NIBIN doing with it? I don't know. I've been waiting to hear somebody come and talk about that, but I can't find anybody doing that part. Like, is that not important? What's happening? Somebody ask the important questions. I like that lady that Brian Enton continues to interview, the FBI lady. Oh man, I'd like to know a little bit more about her clients. Apparently, recently one had her fingerprint a car, and I'm like, okay, we know you work for extremely wealthy individuals. Who had you fingerprint their car, ma'am, and why? Like, don't get me going. We're internet sleuths. We need to know more. But they have some great conversations over there, and she's a whole different FBI agent than what we're used to. Yeah, the J cough of it all. If you know, you know. I recommend listening to that one over the other one all day and twice on Sunday. Um, Wiccan, why would, okay, yes, okay, I have one, so I know exactly what the sound, the flash, I get it. But why would you set a taser off at the air if you didn't even know that one was even down there, right? She's not making any noise. She's not peeking out of her door. She's not screaming. She's just texting quietly. Do you even know she's down there? Why would you go down there? And why would you fire off a taser into the air? Or did you tase somebody? Because there's no evidence of a little explosion, not even a mini one, not even a firecracker. And my brother used to blow up matchbox cars with firecrackers for fun, so I know what I'm talking about. I saw no evidence of a firecracker or a little thing going off. So, but the taser's a good theory, but I don't know why he would be down there doing it. Well, if he used a taser on Ethan, the thing about what Bethany saw, she's not going to see shit that happened on that second and third floor. If you know the house layout and you know exactly where her room was at, even with her door open, she's not seeing anything happening, especially in Xana's room over on that bed, right? That flash is, and the sound isn't going to make it to outside Dylan or Bethany's door. I don't know what that girl saw and heard. That could have been Dylan doing something out there that we're unaware of. It, and yeah, you know, and to know the state Xana was actually in, and you ran by the door and noticed her laying there but continued on down the stairs. See, that's the kind of stuff that causes people to ask questions, and I understand it. I trust me, I get it. But everybody who's watched this show knows I get that, right? That's a live wire that I need to stay away from because my energy will just get ugh. I'd rather tear down the defendant today than this 19-year-old girl again. Um, So let me pull up this file. If y'all are good to go for a little bit longer, we'll talk about a couple things. Yeah, waking the thing about them girls, them if you trying to figure out those two roommates has given so many people headaches, a lot of sleepless nights. I got to a point with those two where I'm like, they're just, I had to make them irrelevant at some point, right? I never knew what to make of the girl down in the first floor basement situation. I don't even know if it could, it, I don't even know if she could process a whole thought. Um, the scaredy cat on the second floor, seeing and hearing things, lucid one minute, not the next, fireman vacuums. Yeah, there we go. So I decided she's irrelevant. Except I'm that damn footprint outside your door is super close. You didn't hear, you heard what? Yeah, see, it's a whole rabbit hole, and a girl will give me a damn headache. Like, that's the only part of the case, that doesn't make sense, and I don't think it ever will to anybody, except just gotta admit that the girl's loony. I don't know, and just let her be. I'm sure that in reality, though, with everything that she was doing and not doing, I'm sure she's had to go through a lot of therapy. So let's hope that she's doing better. I don't know. All right, I'm waiting for this to pull up here. 1 second. It takes a minute with these large documents. What's it doing? Oh, it's taking a little bit longer than usual. Goodness. Let me try to do that over. It's like it got stuck. All right, I'm still waiting for it to. It's sleepy. And it's almost time for me to have some more cold medicine. Well, I don't know, Wiccan. Was she asleep the whole time? They're awake. They're texting. They're putting numbers into the phone. They're texting mom and dad, toothaches and different things. Like I'm telling you, none of it makes sense. What their thought process was and why they made each decision that they made. Right? They didn't go to sleep right away once they got in. Once she got down to Bethany's room, court documents say they didn't fall asleep immediately. But at some point they did. Okay, here they come. Here's the photos. And if I'm really determined to put that roommate into this situation, I'm going to have to go with the theory that she knows Bryan Kohberger. And yeah, why would he protect her at this point? Because I can't think of anybody else that he said he did it. So if she really did it or was in on it and all these other town full of people, and that guy knows it, I mean, it's not a Rick Allen situation here. I don't know why he would say I did it if he didn't. And if anybody else was involved, he knows exactly who it was. And I don't think it was Kopacka. Let me just put that out there too. I'm not going to go rehash all that Kopacka stuff. I'm not watching any more enhanced anythings. I saw it all a long time ago. Rest in peace, sir. Okay, so let me get this one picked. Get to this. I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking the questions if you take a logical look at some of it. Some of it logic can never explain. And I can't explain that girl until she grants an interview. And then I can only try. And I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, let me get my share screen up here. Again, some of these pictures are graphic with a lot of blood in the images. So if this is not your cup of tea, we understand if you need to step away. We're not going to, we're going to talk about what some of this could mean. And this again will be in Maddie's room here. Let me get rid of this. Hold on. So to the far left over here where it's not redacted and you can see all of this on the bed, excuse me, and the wall, that's where Kaylee would have been. All right, so remember he has to go over Maddie to reach her. And notice this patterns on the wall, right? Compared to those images. That's why I'm going to do some side-by-sides with these images, with those charts that I showed you earlier, just for comparison. And notice up here on the head of the wall here, on the top of the redacted part, that would be the head of the bed. So there's some evidence on the wall there. And again, notice how covered and saturated the blanket is, right? So if all that's on the blanket, how much of that's actually going on to the perpetrator as far as spatter and arterial spray? And they only redacted that image up top because there was some pictures. Sometimes it's redacted up there and sometimes not. And again, here's a little more of the head of the wall, right? I cannot get this box to go away. What are you doing here? There we go. Go away. So on the left here, this would have been where Maddie was lying. Now they've already moved some of the blanket around. Okay, see how this is redacted there? Would that be the sheath coming out? And there's a little bit over here on the closet, which I pointed that out the other day. That would have to be as if would he be standing, and that would be cast off right next to the bed, because it's not a very wide space right there, right? It's very, very tight. And there's Kaylee's sweater she had on at the grub truck, her sweatshirt. And again, they've got it redacted here, but it would have been right up under this area here toward the top where the sheath was placed or laid down. I always wondered, did Maddie sit up for a moment and then falling back on the sheath, causing him not to see it when he ran away from the room? But the placement of it, I don't think it was a thought until it was too late. Now, there's just a little on the door, right? But see how low it is toward the door here? And remember, he's a tall guy, right? And you have low impact on the lower part of the door. And also at the foot of the bed, there are some droplets as well. Would those be droplets from the object he was using as he's Why would they be at the end of the bed, right? Did he at some point straddle over the victims and then I don't know. Could that just be from cast off from going back and forth with the weapon? And it's, as he goes back, it's flying backwards and landing on the foot of the bed. This smear on Maddie's bedroom door, right? Was that left by the perpetrator leaving the room? Because there shouldn't have been any blood upon entry. They're not injured yet. Or was the door open during the attack, causing the person downstairs to be able to hear some ruckus? Or was that left there, pulling the door open to get out, which means there would have been something on the perpetrator's hands. Obviously, you're holding a weapon that you're stabbing with, but I'm pretty sure he was gloved. In a nice, tight-fitting little glove with a good grip. Again, there was Maddie's wall. Now, so I've got some other ones we were going to look at. Let's see. Let's look at this one. It will be interesting to see some of the experts' take on this when they get around to it. Idaho 4 is not like the minute this stuff drops, they're all going to run. They take a moment to look at what they've got. Joe Scott usually, like I said, will deep dive this stuff on his podcast. So I'm sure he'll get to them eventually. He usually does. Okay. Now, this is back in Xana's room. And this would have been over where Ethan was lying. And notice the pattern there on the wall. Again, he's low. And if you look at the pillows itself, you can literally see how much evidence, I keep calling it because that YouTube is crazy, how much evidence is soaked into that pillow, right? There's quite a lot there, a lot of loss at one time. And then this spray hitting the wall. Oh wait, that was in Maddie's room. Hold on. So going back to the pink blanket, I had the runes backwards. Sorry, this would have been where Kaylee was, right? But again, notice how much is soaked into the bedding. So not a ton may not be spraying back. I'm sure some did. Then again, he had a mask, and all you could see allegedly was eyes. And so how much went onto his skin? We saw in the document drops before that allegedly, and apparently it's true, he takes a shower the morning after and gives mom the thumbs up, and there's no shower curtain. Are you afraid traces of blood evidence may be on the shower curtain? Because you probably did get a little bit on you, just to make sure, right? Criminology student and all that. Thumbs up, even though I left my sheath, it'll be okay. Until it wasn't. That thing didn't just end up in there all by its lonesome. There's no way. I'm looking at my notes, guys. Sorry. Okay, this is one more I did want to look at because it shows that, again, once Xana is on the ground, the attack continues, and you can tell that it was from a low position. Oops. Oh, did I put the wrong one in? I did. just slide it over here. Okay. Notice how low to the wall that is, right? It's not up high. He's tall, so they're not standing up when that impact happens on that wall. Even if it is cast off, he's down over her, right? Otherwise, it would be if they were standing up in an upright position when that happened, it would be higher up on the wall, I think. Do y'all agree with that? And again, sorry, the proximity of that chair, because it was moved around the room a couple times, but this appears to be one of the positions it was actually in. Because that pillow is right beneath it, and as much evidence as we see on the pillow, um, her head was lying there as well. Is there a possibility her hand or something, head, hair even, hit that chair as the body's going down? And that's what left. I don't know, if that was caused, how that ended up there. I just know prosecutors claimed he appeared to sit down. And I expected to see butt impressions, but I don't. Oh no, he will analyze it, Heidi. Like I said, he talks more in depth because when he goes on YouTube, he's on Nancy Grace or whoever, right? He's guesting on these shows. They're only going to talk about so much. And Butterfly dropped the link there to his X account, but I listened to him on iHeartRadio, Body Bags podcast, and he has discussed more in depth about the crime scene and what it might tell us, right? Even down to how how hard Xana fought. And this was a back a ways. So he does have a playlist over there if you guys are interested in going and checking that out. And I'm assuming that he and his podcast co-host there will tackle these images. I'll be shocked if he doesn't. He has respect for families, but this is his jams, right? This is what he does. So it is what it is. You can meet families all day long, but you're still at the end of the day what you are, right? And it could all be discussed with uh, integrity, if you will, or whatever. Okay, so there is blood around that stain. Okay, excuse me. There does appear to be blood around that stab, guys. I was wrong about that, right? But I still can't say someone was laying on the bed when that occurred because that sharp edged weapon should have blood on it. So, you know what I mean? And there was obviously a fight happening right there because you can even look at the side table and see the smears. Literally, those are smears. We saw the charts a little earlier, and I think a lot of us could see that when we were looking at these the other day, versus cast off and arterial spray and spatter. Those very well appear to be smear marks, like even the hand may be reaching, but that stab, it was like, wow, was that a miss, and you can see also some evidence deposited on the wall there. So I think this crime scene would tell investigators a lot about how it unfolded. It would have been nice to hear from the experts in the case once it got to trial. And again, I know these are graphic, guys, but you can tell these are smears right here. And it just goes to show how hard this girl fought for her life, against this monster that appeared out of nowhere in her home. Teach your babies to lock all the doors, and if the locks don't work, call somebody because you literally pay them to live in their home. I don't know about y'all, but Florida has laws and they have to maintain their homes or you don't got to pay your rent. Well, you do, but it can go into an escrow account until they rectify the situation. So look into it if you're having issues. But teach your kids to lock the doors. They're 19, 18, 20. They're partying. They got a full plate with studies. My dad raised 4 daughters. Lock your door, girl. It's never a question in my mind. My daddy would be like on me, calling me, "Did you lock that door?" Because he's going to know I didn't, right? I'm not going to have my daddy find out that intruder came in because I forgot to lock the door. So if we can learn anything from any of these true crime cases that we follow, is what to do and what not to do, right? Going forward. And I'll be honest, when this case happened and we learned about these roommates and 8-hour gap, I went to my teenage son and we had a talk about what to do in particular situations. When I asked his theory on why this 8-hour gap, I'm not even going to tell you what he said. Oh, he's been listening to my true crime theories too long. But anyway, teach them babies to lock the doors and to call 911, right? Don't be afraid if you hear something bad. Oh, and check the thuds in the night. We had 2 different cases, this one and Sebastian's case. Thuds in the night, go check them. You hear that one thud and you yell out to the kid, "Go to bed." And he's like, "Okay, Mom." Happened to me 1,000 times. But damn, now I'm like, a thud. I need to go make sure, just in case. But all right, guys, I think I'm going to let you go for the day. I'm going to go remedicate myself, grab some lunch, pile up in my bed with a heating pad on, get snuggly and cozy. My favorite thing to do. And I'll probably be down a rabbit hole somewhere. If I go too far, I might send out a signal and I'll come back live and tell y'all what I found. I do want to come back and talk about that one thing, but I got to make sure I'm not dizzy when it happens. And hope I don't get any sicker. And y'all, stay warm out there. If you need to get out and get your supplies, do it now. If y'all are like, if the blizzard thing is like the hurricane thing, don't wait to the last minute because you're not going to get the bread and the water. You know, hopefully if you're in those regions like me, I try to keep the batteries and the candles at all times and the things, everything charged. Y'all charge up the phones and charge up your battery backups and your little flashlights and whatever you got. Get it all ready. We don't want no man down during this impending freeze thing that's about to happen. It's got me worried for y'all. All right, everybody, stay safe. Y'all have a good one, and thank you so much for coming in and being a part of the conversation with me. It just feels weird sometimes after talking to myself. I'll have to get Butterfly up here. Butterfly, you got to come chat with us. We haven't had you up in a minute, ma'am. We got to get Rachel comfortable with doing it as well. And maybe I need to get, I don't know, find some guest or something. Y'all can think of anybody y'all like to chat with, let me know. We'll see if we can talk them into coming over. All right, y'all go be safe on the YouTube streets, and do all the things, and I'll see you when I see you. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe and follow. Much love from Little Yas to Ichi.